Hi, my name is Bradley. We're doing a documentary about the drug addiction, and I'm going to be answering a couple of questions.
Tell us who you are, what age you are.
I'm 28 years old. I was an addict for 14 years. I was clean until I was 14. I've had a bit of trauma in my life through sexual abuse, bashings, violent past. So I medicated myself with alcohol to take away the anxiety, and that no longer, after a while, started doing that, so it just magnified the anxiety. So I started drinking more, started to turn to stimulants, and then that led me down a darker path because more trauma happened through sexual assault when I was 19 and 20, and I was drinking for about 9 months, 21 days, trying to end my life. That didn't work, so I just kept drinking, hoping that something would happen that saved me, but I was just passing time really. And more trauma happened. I broke my jaw in 3 places, and then I was in a massive ice bender, and then I had walked through the bush and got lost for about 13 hours, carrying about 20 kilos worth of alcohol, and that was when I hit rock bottom for the first time, and I knew that I needed help. And so I went to the doctor down in Collie, and he said that I could go to the hospital in Collie. They don't normally do detoxes there, but they helped me anyway. And about 2 days in, one of the nurses left the drawer open, and I ran out the front with all the tablets and that were in there and tried to take my life again. I don't know how many times that was how many times I'd failed, but that was one of the most severe times. I was in a partial, I don't know, not a coma, but sleeping for about 3 days. And I woke up later after about 3.5, 4 days. And one of the nurses came in and she said that her son-in-law had been to a rehab, and I mean that freaked me out completely because I was trying to get into a rehab, but I couldn't stay clean for 3 months or 3 to 6 months that it normally is for most rehabs, and they don't treat you until you get to rehab. So she said, nah, none of that. I know a doctor up in Subiaco, and he has pretty much saved my son-in-law's life through alcohol and ice as well. And so I was immediately just drawn in by the hope of surviving this deadly disease. And I mean, I've lost a lot of mates through drug addiction and depression. And took me about 2 weeks after detoxing to get up to Perth. I really just did not believe that there was hope for me. And I was only up in Perth for about 2 days. I got my naltrexone implant, which made it so I cannot drink without spewing. You don't get the same high, well, for most people. And then I started my flumazenil infusion, which lowered the anxiety, so I could actually be in a room with people. I wouldn't be hiding under my bed or hiding under the sheets or hiding in the corner just wishing that everyone would run away. So I could speak to a counsellor. I started speaking to some lady at Fresh Start. Can't really remember her name, but she kept advising me that I needed to deal with this, and I couldn't go up to Northern straight away until I dealt with a bit of issues, so I could safely go up there without being too much trouble for the staff. And then, I was going downhill after a while because I was relapsing nearly every week, and Dr. Bender, he just put his name on the line and just said, don't do anything to self-harm or to worry the staff or people there, and I'll sign the clearance that you can go up there. So I went up there, and I was still a bit anxious. I'd never been to a rehab before. I never knew anyone up there, but people were friendly. They invited me in for groups. Well, it was mandatory, but they welcomed me, and I got allocated a buddy, and he looked after me, made sure I was awake when I needed to be, and that I hadn't eaten, because I suffer from minor anorexia. And so it was about a week in, I was doing really well, and I met a person named Joel, who was a chaplain for Fresh Start, and we connected straight out because he'd suffered from alcohol abuse, and so did I, and I don't know, with some way we just clicked, because I'd never been brought up with faith in my family. I just had, I knew God was there, but I couldn't connect with him because I couldn't get a Bible. I couldn't go to church because it was against my family's ways. So I met with Joel, and we would speak about 3-4 times a week. He'd slip me in if he had a chance twice a day if he could. And we'll do Bible studies because I didn't have enough confidence even to read. And so he decided to explain the Bible to me, and I could see that he wasn't lying about anything. And I was reading with him, building up my confidence so I could read in groups and understand the Bible without him being there. And it was about a month and a half in. I was about nearly 60 days clean at this time, and I went down to the Mundaring Weir, I think it is, the hole where they swim and have the cafe and that, and I got baptised there, and it was the most beautiful thing I've ever done, because I laid my life and surrendered to God. And I got baptised with 3 other people, and as far as I know, that the rest are doing good. From there on, I just try to grow every day in with God. I've had a couple of slip-ups since then. I left rehab after about 11 weeks to go to a court case in Collie, and I relapsed. And I knew I wasn't ready. The staff told me that if I was going to go by myself, we need to set up a plan. And I just did not listen to anyone. I just thought that I didn't need anyone. It's hard for me to trust people when I've been through what I've been through. So then I was at home for about 2 months, or it was a month and a half, and so 6 weeks, and my brother came into my room, and he told me that my ex-girlfriend, this lady I was in love with, she had been murdered in Perth. And so I was just straight back into depression, in my room, just watching Pretty Little Liars. I don't know why I watched it, but it was keeping me occupied, keeping my brain from self-harm and going full-blown into addiction. And then 2 weeks after that, a lady that helped me when I was in my worst alcoholic state, she ended her life. And after that, I knew that there was only days left of my life left, even unless I got help, because the depression was that bad I could barely move. So I rang up the lady that used to run Fresh Start, and she was very energetic to get me up there, we'll just say that. And she said that we'll pick you up, and my mum said no, I'll take him. So I said goodbye to my family, my brother, my sister-in-law, and I went back up to rehab. And then I did another 14 weeks, and my dad asked me if I would like to go over to Victoria, and my plans were to move there. So I tried to learn as much as I could, and I went over there and seen my nan for the first time in probably about 15 years at that stage. My dad for the first time in probably 3 or 4 years. I got to meet my dad's wife at the time, his new wife, for the first time, and so I thought it was worth sacrificing the rest of my recovery for. And I just went over there, and it wasn't long before I relapsed again, and I got myself back up. I moved to my nan's house, and got to spend some really good time with her before she passed away this year. And this was about 2017, sorry. And so I moved in with my dad after my auntie and I had a falling out, and I started going to this church in South Australia, and it connected me back with the Holy Spirit and God and Jesus. And after a while I found out that my dog had been given away to save, and I just went back to WA because I'd relapsed too many times in South Australia with my dad and his new wife. So I went back to WA, and I went back into addiction pretty hard with marijuana and alcohol, which were my 2 main drugs of concern. And it wasn't too long until I was back in that state where I just needed help. So I went back to rehab for the 3rd time, and I did 7 months this time, and I thought I was cured at 6 months. And then I got to the 7th month, and I realised that alcohol addiction is a fight for the rest of your life. And I was very depressed at this state because I didn't want to fight for the rest of my life. I just wanted to rest. And instead of seeking treatment, I left rehab again and went to the streets in Northern and had a failed suicide attempt. And I got put in jail because of it for 3 months. And then when I got out, I was on the streets of Perth. I relapsed again and went into a mass psychosis for about 3 weeks. And then I came here to get some help because my feet were that infected I was nearly losing them. And I went back to the streets. And then I went back to Collie, and then I've been working on myself a bit, not as much as I want to. Been going to church, reading the Bible, and then I found out that my sister-in-law was pregnant, and at this stage was pretty jealous because I've always wanted to be a dad. And I obviously knew I wasn't ready. So I decided to come back to rehab and complete it this time and do a full year where I'll study my year 11 and 12, my Cert 3 in community services so I can graduate, and then come out of rehab into street ministry. And so I've got a lot to look forward to. My faith is just exploding every day. I just underwent 3 flumazenil infusions, which has made me able to talk to people. It lowered the anxiety through the sexual assaults by a phenomenal amount. So I'm able to talk about it to a counsellor that I have, and so I'm on the path to becoming clean and giving this world back something that I wanted to give.